The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirky Dog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
Welcome, guys, and happy Wednesday. Today is our 200th episode. We are so super excited to be here, and we have Dave Garofalo on to start the episode off. We're going to switch out guests midway through, and of course, since Dave is on, we're lighting up, so thank you so much for providing the cigars here today.
Some cigars on.
This is congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it.
And we got like an Emmy. Look at this. This is amazing. I can't believe it. Studio 21 is the best. All right, before we get into all the fun, we're going to start with the quirky tip of the day. Even from far away, he can manage the pig. What a husband. What a podcast partner. All right, you guys, my quirky tip of the day is we are launching apparel for the month of September. So go check on the link in the description. Also, if you go to thequirkydog.com, right under the subscribe button, there is an apparel button. We did all kinds of new styles. It's just going to be for the month of September. There will be shipping added on to costs, and then you'll get it end of October, early November. But great for the holidays. Check it out. If you like the podcast, if you want to support the Quirky Dog, check out the apparel link in the description and on the website. So, Dave, thank you for joining us. Thank you for hosting us for 4 years.
Honor to be here. And I remember when you just did the quirky tip of the day, I was in the audience on episode 1 watching it, and there was the quirky tip of the day, and Scott didn't know what to do. You're supposed to squeeze it. You know, they can go back and watch those old episodes, right? And he's like, what am I supposed to do at this point? No, then do it, and you messed it up.
I barely got it. I almost got it figured out.
You know, I got to give it to Scott, because that first day you said, you know, Jess, you're a natural. Apparently, you've been in front of the camera before. Clearly, my decibels are crazy, and I'm a lot for the mic, and maybe I'm too much for the audience sometimes. But you told Scott, you know, look at the camera a little bit more.
Yeah.
He did so much from that first episode to like now and today. He took courses. He like gained his confidence so much. You're like a badass now.
And you didn't want to do it.
No, now I'm doing male stripping.
We're not quite.
You're like,
I went
she's
to the
gonna
other
be here.
extreme.
Nonchalant. I'll be here if she wants me to say something. But then it revolved into more than you thought.
We're doing it up.
I learned how to stay out of the way.
We're doing it up. No, and we've just our show has changed a lot. We've had a lot of great guests on over the past 4 years, and our content, like we are here to provide content for our audience and help the dog world in all ways possible, and hopefully we're continuing to do that. So
you are doing an unbelievable thing, because 200 episodes, let me tell you, 1%.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about these statistics?
1% of podcasters reach this milestone.
1%.
And it doesn't seem like you're in the audience and you're listening and say 200 episodes. Well, you're talking about over a 4-year process, and we had COVID in between and all this stuff, and you guys did podcasts while you were
Not to mention, I'm in a personal relationship with this woman. So this is
and
24/7.
And we're still married.
Right.
It was a little rocky.
A lot of things could have went wrong, but a lot of things went right. There are success to a podcast, longevity, the 7 things, and Scott and Jess have them all and more, but one of them is content quality. And as you said, you are providing content to this. By the way, free. It's free. They don't even charge for it. This is unbelievable stuff that you get for free. You've never charged anything, right? It's free advice.
No.
Consistency. Every single week, here they are. You turn on it, you expect it to be there, and there it is. It is a big thing. It's a niche audience that is there. You're talking about dog lovers and people that want to train their dog.
And smoke cigars. It's a very
sometimes.
niche market.
I taught you that. You never
Not
even had a cigar
everyone.
before.
Not everyone's a dual cigar lover like us.
Marketing and promotion, that you're out there, you're on different social media platforms. I think I got it together until I talk to you every single week, and then you tell me these different things that I don't even exist. I took notes this morning. You're engaging hosts to the audience. You're engaging to the audience, and when you have somebody on here, there can become burnout, but commitment, and you're there every single time. And you're still bringing things on. I'm in a cigar podcast, and I have to talk about rolled up tobacco leaves, and I'm able to do it. But you would think once you tell somebody how to train a dog, that's it. But there's a million different things, and you just keep going into these different facets of the same thing. So there's 200, and it can be 200 more. And
Easily.
And the last one I'm going to hand over to Chrissy, which is technical and production quality. And Chrissy, you did a great job.
You do a great job, Chrissy. Thank you. We're gonna switch out guests here in a second. But Dave, you gave us the Emmy. We got you a little something as well. We appreciate everything that you've done. Dave is like a big part of our lives. We really love Dave. He's a wonderful person, and we love coming here to podcast.
We come early and have a business meeting.
Yes, we do.
Or just a chit chat sometimes. So it's a little bit silly, but I liked it for the desk.
Difference maker. A dedicated person who can make a big impact even on small actions or a few words. Somebody who improves your lives. Thank you so much. Isn't this nice? All right, this is going right on my desk.
You do make a difference, Dave. Dave makes a difference with his customers, his family, his employees, his podcast listeners and viewers. Honestly, I have never been out to dinner with him, but I'm sure the waitress that he meets, Dave is one of those people that you meet him and he changes your life and impacts your life for the better. So thank you for being a part of our journey.
Before he leaves.
Before
Tell
we
us
kick
about
him
the
off.
Cigar Expo, what the date of that is, and what's going on. This is a big, huge event.
And we're going.
Jess and I are going.
We're
very
bringing the
excited
biggest
about it.
podcasters in the world together because we have the Quirky Dog podcast, the Cigar Authority, and the Ashholes all going to be there. But it's a cigar event. It's called the New England Cigar Expo. It's September 29th and 30th. It's in Wyndham, New Hampshire, and it's an outdoor festival. First time ever doing this like this, and we'll see how it turns out.
Two-day event. There's going to be micro wrestling, which is the politically correct name for midget wrestling.
Correct.
We're so excited. It's literally like the event of our year. We can't wait to go. It's the end of this month.
I hope it lives up to its
It's a whole month of celebration. Dave, thank you for all you've done for us, and thank you for joining us and the great cigars.
So here's the 200 more.
200 more, and
Cheers.
my water and our coffees. Yes,
Thank you.
We're just getting started. All right, we're going to switch out guests here. We got some technical stuff going on. Bada bing, bada boom. Honey, I miss you. Happy 200. Can you believe it?
Cheers.
What a go it's been.
A little bourbon in the coffee.
Scott just has regular coffee. There's no bourbon. All right, so we decided, you guys have seen this person sometimes in the middle of our podcast, but we decided to have our most favorite producer of all time come right onto the podcast. Ed Sullivan started producing us, then we had a producer, Ben, in the middle, and we've ended on Chrissy. And the deal is with Chrissy, unless she gets famous, which there's a small chance Chrissy will become famous.
She's a huge chance. It's a fact, actually.
She's gonna produce us for life. That's the deal that we have here. So Chrissy, thanks so much for joining us and for everything you do for us at all times.
Thank you. I mean, you're welcome.
And thank you for having me. The sultry voice behind the camera.
They don't hear it often.
And Chrissy's absolutely, positively like an amazing singer. She does amazing things. She has the Bellas, a local band.
This Friday. We're playing.
So tell us a little bit about how this all came to be, where you joined in with the cigar studio and the podcast studio and you started producing and how much you love it all now.
Yeah, so I moved here 3 years ago from Australia. 3 years ago? Almost 4? Whatever. 3.5 years ago from Australia. And I was friends with a couple of people that worked here. And I guess they heard that the producer was leaving. And a couple of them went up to Dave and said, hey, we know this chick. And she
does everything.
She does music and stuff like that. So she's familiar with soundboards. And she does heaps of video work and stuff like that. And we think she'd be a good fit for the studio. And he obviously said, well, send her in and we'll have a chat. And we did. And
the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history. I've been in the studio now for over 2 years, loving it.
Yeah.
You guys are my favorite.
And Murphy, oh, thanks. She's not just saying that. She
Don't
really
watch
does
any
love
other
us.
podcasts to see if I said that to anybody else.
Murphy
please.
is her Brittany Spaniel, and he is here every week. He's like a staple. He's a great dog. We love him.
He's the executive producer.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
He's working real hard over there right now. I asked him to come on stage with me.
He listens to the tips and approves or disapproves.
He got really excited a couple episodes ago when we were doing the mechanical bunny. He thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
Chrissy had to keep him under control.
We did good
but he's very well trained, and he's like a staple here at the cigar studio and the podcast studio, and we love coming in and seeing him every Wednesday. So what is your favorite part as far as like all of these Wednesdays and everything else? What do you think our show brings, or what are we lacking? Do you have any advice for us?
Oh, what you're lacking. Oh, boy.
Besides sanity.
What you're lacking is a good co-host. No, I love Scott.
As he clears his throat. We could make Scott clearing his throat a drinking game, I think.
I would have been drunk already. No, I'm a big animal person. I always have been. Dog training, animal training in general. has always been huge to me. So yeah, meeting you guys and doing this has, for me, been very validating. Because I train, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it's controversial. When I first started training, or when I got trained.
We might get kicked off YouTube, but go ahead.
So back in Australia, I hired a trainer to train me how to communicate with Murphy. It's less about training the dog, I think, than training the person. And she didn't say anything beforehand, so she showed up and she had an e-collar, and I was just instantly, like, oh my God. Like, and she said, may I? And I said, sure. And she said, put it in your hand. And she said, let me turn it on. She said, tell me when you feel something. And okay, I think I feel something. And she's like, oh, wow. She's like, okay, well, we work about a quarter of that, like strength on your dog. I was like, wow, okay, eye opener. I'm willing to give it a try. And yeah, so I did lots of training with that, and we hardly use it now because he was trained with it earlier. And the constant feedback I get from nearly everyone that meets us is, your dog is so well behaved. Yeah, we did a lot of training.
You destroyed him, is what you're telling me.
Balanced training. It's like positivity and treats and everything as well. But yeah, it's all balanced. So,
and he's a very good boy. And you're an exceptional dog owner. That's part of it. But honestly, and that was kind of like your own journey. And a lot of our clients go through that journey, and some of our listeners and everything else. And it's an okay journey to go through. And it's good to be open and honest about it. But I think it's nice to be well versed in all tools out there that are available to help dogs and keep them in families.
I agree. I think education, don't make a judgment or opinion out there unless you've actually been educated on something. So, because my initial reaction was, oh my God, an e-collar. She educated me on it, and I made an informed decision for me and my dog. So I just, do the same. Don't judge and hate on things.
Yeah.
Do whatever you got to do, but train
everybody.
the dog.
Yeah.
That's
please, yes. Just
thing.
train your dog.
Train the dog.
Save your sanity. All right. So what do you think we should do heading into the future? We have some thoughts. Do you have any piece of advice, anything that you want to see out of us, or any directions you think we should head?
I think you guys are not really, because you're kind of on it already, and you would have known by now if you weren't, because I wouldn't. I don't hold back people.
Chrissy, like me, is pretty outspoken. She's
very much so.
She uses her words well. She's a strong woman.
We haven't been kicked off any platforms yet, and I think that's to our detriment. I think we need to be a little more controversial. We need to have. Maybe get on the national news about some type of problem.
Oh, don't get started. No news stories for us. Well, things that we're considering, one thing we're going to start pushing here in the next 50 to 100 episodes so is sponsorship. We're not going to have a podcast that's filled with advertisements every 5 minutes, but we do like to promote companies whose products we like, who do well for the dog industry, and how we can incorporate all that. One thing we will add before the next 200th for sure is like a team Quirky of some sort. We have Dave and Chrissy. Dave's kind of the head honcho of everything, and Chrissy is an amazing producer, but I could totally use a virtual assistant as far as things go over time. I have 200 transcripts sitting in Searchy right now, honestly, that just need to be cleaned up and divvied out with, individual voices and that kind of thing. I have, Instagram and TikTok, and I only have 25 of 200 videos up. So that's something we're definitely planning to incorporate. And then guests, like our guest list, we kind of sometimes fly by the seat of our pants, like, hey, let's have this person on, let's have this person on. But we've had a lot of leaders in the industry on, and we're so grateful for that, and we're so humbled that they've come on our show. But the list goes on. There will be a lot of exciting guests to come. So that's kind of where we're coming from and what we want to head towards. Do you have any thoughts on what we should do in the future, Lovey?
Well, one thing that's interesting about the guests is that the ones that we consider some of the most influential in our industry.
Yeah, take your shot.
Everyone take a shot.
Shot.
Are happy to come on. And then the few that haven't come on for whatever reason are not really that important to begin with.
Yeah.
And they're too busy, they can't do it. But the people that are really what we consider big names.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
We've had a lot of leaders in the industry, and we're grateful to reach across the aisle. We've had a lot of, just purely positive trainers, force-free, reinforcement-based trainers, whatever you want to say, and we like to keep incorporating those. We have a big one coming on at the end of this month. We've had a lot of balanced people, a lot of people in the entertainment part of the industry. We try to pull from the industry every which way just to give you guys the most well-rounded show that you can have, because dogs are multifaceted, right? Sometimes if we just get stuck in one certain lane of dogs, it can get boring, or it can get a little dry, or it can get a little sciencey. And we want to give you guys everything that's available and really give you the best life possible for you and your dogs, because that's really why we're here and what this is all about. We want to take our knowledge that we're learning day in, day out, working with clients, what we've learned over the past decade together and, a couple decades in dogs, and share that with you. We want you to be able to take, glean from our knowledge and our experiences and take that into your own lives. And that's kind of the goal of where we're headed.
And I would say the advice you guys give, it hits on many levels, not just animal training. But if you read between the lines of how these lovely people, friends outside of the show, by the way, I'm not just doing this to be paid. I don't get an extra bonus for this. I mean, I will. No. I think that's a huge thing I find too, is whilst giving all this advice on dog training and animal husbandry and all that sort of stuff, if you will, the little just also life tidbits in between, the positivity of just self-growth and things like this, I think it resonates a lot with me anyway, and I'm sure it does with everybody else that watches. So I think that's a really cool thing that you guys do as well. So it's
no, we try to be a positive influence.
Absolutely.
Healing. Canine healing in all ways.
Right, exactly.
Well, and we were discussing that. We've changed a lot over the past 4 years. I mean, clearly Scott's taken up cigar smoking. That's been a change.
And he got jacked.
Yeah, yes, he is.
I don't know if you've noticed. He got a little wider on screen.
Scott's become the Hulk. But legitimately, we started ice baths. That's something that, we've talked about on the podcast that we still do religiously. We meditated very regularly, within the past 4 years. That's something that, became a practice we did. We've always done floating and those kind of things, but we're really trying to lean into growth. We read more. We do things that we didn't used to do to help ourselves, but also to serve you guys better. And I think it's worked out for the best for ourselves as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I need these reminders to take care of myself and to be better, and just to step up and take responsibility for myself, if nothing else, and not to allow myself to just turn into a slug and sit on the couch and just watch TV and do nothing with my life, which is something that I could do. Yeah. I've done it in the past. And I mean, you just got to, with the dogs, I mean, really, it's just being a little more assertive, stepping up, take responsibility, don't act helpless. Where we can always do something. And I tell people all the time, even if it's not the right thing, do something. When the dog is doing something you don't like, interrupt it, do something. Don't worry about whether it's right or wrong. Just do something. You can always, improve on whatever it is you did, but it's better than doing nothing.
Yeah, no, completely. And I mean, being in the industry where we plan to continue to be in the in-person industry, we need to be able to be physically well and strong and everything else. We spend an hour to an hour and a half at the gym every single day right now. And it's important if you're out there working with dogs, especially dogs 50 plus pounds, we're meeting a human aggressive boar bull tomorrow. We have to be physically capable to do these types of things. So that's kind of part of it outside of the self-growth and the personal growth and everything. Just the physicality of working with dogs does matter. So be conscious of that if you're in the industry as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to be mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy, not to mention spiritually.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Keep the spirit strong.
And I'm glad that Chrissy touched on that, because we do have a close relationship outside of the podcast. I mean, normally Scott's downstairs buying a couple cigars, talking with the guys. Half the time he's in Dave's office, and I'm calling him 30 seconds before we're going live, like, Scott, come on, we're going to start. But Chrissy and Scott and I, we've had a lot of very personal talks. We know a lot about each other's pasts and everything else. And it's nice to have kind of a deeper connection with people, especially people who you are working with in an industry type of setting. So we do appreciate you for that greatly.
Oh, thank you. So I have a quick little surprise, if I may.
Oh boy, we love surprises.
So this showed up yesterday. So I'm sorry that it's half open, because I assumed it was for me because it showed up here.
I thought you were going to start singing for us.
No, this is not for me. This showed up for the two of you yesterday.
Oh my gosh!
So who wants
It's
to
open
it?
You can open it, honey.
Thank
You can open it. He likes to be the
I didn't read the label because
Pastries don't usually come in the mail, but
it was addressed here, so I was just, it's for me.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh! I thought the Emmy was great. What do you call this actually?
I thought he dropped it.
I'm going to call it an Emmy. It seems like we got an Emmy. I feel like we should do an acceptance speech.
We call it a potty? No, though. No. That came out of my mouth before, and then I heard it. So there is a card here.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
this is
You
fancy
open
pants.
from
Oh, now
this
you're
point
going to give
on.
me.
I will get
he
this
just
stuff
did
out of here.
You need this.
This is
part.
amazing. Oh my gosh, fountain. Okay, boy. Good thing we gave Dave a gift. I didn't know it was going to be like this.
Ooh, take
this
a
calls
shot.
for
I did
champagne.
it.
Oh my gosh.
The shots are in here.
Congrats on 200 episodes of the Quirky Dog podcast. We are so proud of you guys. Cheers to the next 200. Oh, and it's from Nat and it's from Nat and Pete and the boys. That is so sweet. Thank you, you guys. Those are our friends in Texas. That
I
is
kept
so
it
great.
secret too right now.
Very
I wanted
nice.
her to
Thank
have.
you guys.
I wanted them to have
Oh, thank you so much. This is so great. Here, open it up, Chrissy. We should have
don't
chilled
know.
it.
You gotta slide
No,
it.
I don't know
There
what
you
it.
go.
Oh, fancy pantsy. Oh, this is so great.
I
Thank
didn't know
you,
that.
guys.
Oh, the
I'm so
champagne is right here.
sorry.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Look at this. Oh, it's fancy pants champagne. Very nice.
nice.
Thank you so much.
I'm so
gonna,
sorry.
I'm going to drink alcohol in Nat's honor because she's pregnant. She's in her last stretch here. Thank you guys so much. That was so sweet of
Thanks,
you.
guys.
I
Oh
would
my
have
gosh,
chilled it
look
had
at
I have
these
known that.
beautiful.
I saw fountain, and in Australia, that's fancy pens. So I was like, oh, they got them like a calligraphy set. That's very
I love
interesting.
this. I got to look at the glasses. This is great. Okay, I do want to touch on. Ooh, look at this. These are beautiful.
You're not good with glasses,
Oh,
by
I know.
the way.
Look at, aren't they lovely? All right, Chrissy and I are going to play after the podcast. They're okay. Keep them in.
Oh.
We'll keep them safe.
Oh, there they go.
Woo! Bada bing, bada boom.
Yep.
All right, we're going to
Very
chill this,
nice.
and we're going to continue our party now after the podcast launches. That's
Take a
very
shot of
sweet of them.
champagne.
That next time he clears his throat. I do want to touch on a little bit. Scott sometimes gets in this rut a bit, like
A funk.
yeah, funk. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to.
Dark cloud just
the darkness
settles in on me.
succumbs, Scott. But you know, we're not serving enough. We're not
Start
helping
sharpening
enough.
knives.
No, it's not that bad. But you know, he I guess he has less self-confidence than me. Let's just put it that way. And maybe that's from his upbringing or whatever else. But I was looking at our location statistics, and it really is insane, like how far we're reaching. So we have a very like strong contingent in Canada. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. And as an aside, the apparel can ship to Canada as well. If you guys are elsewhere besides Canada, we can get it out there, but shipping for the apparel that I mentioned as the quirky tip is domestic and Canadian. Also, we have listeners, not just like one or two or a dozen, like hundreds in the UK, in Australia, in Italy, in Germany. Some of these places, there's thousands of listeners.
We have a strong contingent in Zimbabwe.
No, that's not mentioned, but maybe we do. Maybe it just didn't read. But literally, I mean, we don't have millions of listeners anyway yet. We may get to that point at some point. If Lewis Howes can get 500 million listeners, we can get 1 million here or there. But I mean, France, Hungary, Poland, Spain, Nigeria, the Philippines, India, there are people listening all around the world. So we appreciate all of you that support us from everywhere, because we do try to give you the industry's top and finest and most recent events. Like, I don't know how else to describe that, but that's, we're living in the industry, we're seeing things happening in real time, and we're trying to share those things with you. And I just found that to be pretty impressive as I went through that location list.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it shows how much it translates. Like dog training is dog training is dog, like there's many facets, right? We all know that. I'm not, but it translates through, language, like, because it's a connection with your animal. It's behavior. It's our, whatever you want to call it, your soul, your being, like, I don't know, intertwining with another. I'm real. Don't even get me started, because I'll go on a whole thing of like how my dog is my soulmate. No,
She does love her dog.
Chrissy's eating mushrooms.
No, but like I'm like really nerdy about the connection that you can have with an animal if you're open to it, and if you're willing to listen to them and not tell them everything, but listen to your animal.
My kids told me that too, and I didn't listen to them.
Yeah, don't get me started on kids. I have a whole opposite feeling about them, but it's fine. No, but I'm a huge believer of. I do the same with people. If you just stop and listen a little more, they'll tell you who they are as people.
Yeah.
And animals are very much the same. Yes, at some point you are training, but let them show you who they are first, and then you'll be like, oh my God, my dog is like this, and now I now know how to speak their language a little better. It will help your training and everything. In my opinion, anyway, I'm not qualified.
No, it's true.
They're
No,
the
it's
qualified
true.
ones.
Well,
I'm
and we
just-
always say, and it's touching on this point, that we've learned a lot about ourselves through our dogs. Like, that is a
100%.
huge, tremendous, like, self-reflective thing that either you're dealing with a problem or you're dealing with just the pure joy of them running through.
That's why I have self-confidence issues. My dog looks at me like, you're friggin' pathetic.
Oh, your
What the hell
dogs
are you-
love you. Don't start. But literally, it's just such a huge part of it. And if you're able to open yourselves up to that aspect of your relationship with your dog and your animals of any sort, really, but dogs especially as it pertains to this podcast, you really will have this like transformative experience, and it will change you as a person. And it's not just, it may be a single dog that you had from childhood, but every single dog you have will touch you and teach you different lessons in some way, shape, or form. And that is a huge thing that we always lean on.
Yeah.
One thing that's neat about the listeners is that, we're definitely getting more local people that are telling us that they found us through the podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm at their house because of their dog, and then they're telling me about the podcast, and I watched this one, I watched that one, and it just kind of catches you off guard, because that's not the way I market
Scott's like,
my business.
shit, I have to be careful of what I say.
And then we got a message, and I don't know when it was. I remember you reading it to me, but it was some woman in Europe that said, "This is my favorite podcast." I'm like, what? Do you know, is this one of your friends? Another one of your breeder friends? Just somebody out of the blue said, "Oh, this is my favorite podcast. I always watch
Well,
this."
and we're not for everyone, and we're not trying to be for everyone. I think that's part of it, and whoever your audience is, one thing about Scott and I is we're just authentically ourselves. Like, we can't play
for better or worse.
Yeah, we can't pretend to be anything we're not. But I do get a lot of feedback over, the years, and as of recently, the last few months, people say, I like you guys just because it's a little less serious. It's just a little more laid back. It's it's a good listen. I'm learning things. You guys still talk about serious topics, but it's not so heavy, you know? And I think sometimes...
Not so science-based,
well,
that's for sure.
Stop with the science. But, you know, sometimes these... especially when it relates to things with dogs and everything else, like we just want it to be a little bit lighter, right? We just want the delivery to be a little bit easier. There's so much heavy that's coming at us in life, and sometimes a little bit of levity is nice. And of course, we, you know, provide the laughs. I'm laughing my ass off myself most of the time. My husband is a very funny. He is a very funny person, luckily for me. But, you know, and it helps. It helps just to have the levity, and it's good for our spirits too to come in on a Wednesday, and we always leave feeling better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have some deep political agenda.
No, not at all.
We're here to train dogs. We want people to get their dogs trained. That's really the main thing.
Yeah.
And some people have taken their platform and their influence and just turned it completely into a political stance, which is crazy.
That's not, it's just
crazy,
not, it's not what we're in it for. And also, I do want to mention, as far as companies that we've worked with and products that we've pushed and, you know, guests that we've had on, we believe in these things and these people. Like, we're not just throwing stuff at you because, like, oh, this is an affiliate, like, this is good for us.
I don't know about all of them, but...
we believe in what we produce and what we have on. So we're very thankful for that. And that's something that we're going to continue doing. We're not just having somebody on willy-nilly. And a lot of people do contact us with episode suggestions and they want to come on, and not everyone gets through. Like, we'll have a talk and some people I'm like, thanks, but I don't know if it's a great fit. And we really do want to make sure that who we're providing you and what they're telling you is something that can help you and your dogs and that we believe in our hearts. It's really important for us.
Yeah, I would say for sure. I think you are for everyone in that you are not one-dimensional.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I would almost disagree. I think you are for everyone because you don't pander to anyone in particular. You bring up pretty much all topics that are out there, but you just give your opinion and you sort of state it as such. This is our opinion. We're not telling you we are right. It is like, this is what you should be doing. It's just your opinion. And I think you share it from a very honest and like organic place. So for me, I think in that aspect, you are for everyone who's willing to just be open and listen to other people's opinions on things.
I think
you're more worldly than Americans.
One of the things that's kind of nice about...
I have hardly sworn, I think. So I was about to say,
Feel free.
I'm cleaner than most Australians. But,
I'm waiting for the Mel Gibson to just start spewing.
Oh,
what were you going to say?
Oh, just that, you know, originally we came from kind of different camps of dog training foundationally, where I was doing working dogs and we were using a lot of corrective tools and whatnot, and that was just the standard. That's just the way everybody trained their dogs. You came from dogs, agility and disc dog, which is much more motivational,
entertainment,
fun,
happy
entertainment.
Times,
yeah, not using a corrective collar for anything. And then the two of us have kind of melded when it comes to pet dogs, that one side or the other, there has to be a balance. There has to be a happy medium there so that people can have success. So there are some clients that I happily hand off to you because they're just more suited for Jess, her temperament, her methodology. And then there's many clients that just says, take this one. I'm not going to go see this dog. This is too much.
Yeah, no, that is true. We do have a nice blend with that. And what Chrissy said, it is a good point. I'm going to do new business cards here for the Quirky Dog, just, you know, for local people. And I was thinking on the back, I could say, you know, there's something for everyone. Because even if every episode of the 200s isn't something you can resonate with, out of 200 episodes, there's going to be one that you listen to that you're like, yeah, I'm right on board. 100%. This will help my clients. I need to send this to, you know, my neighbor who wants to rescue a dog, and maybe this will help them through their decision. So while maybe you don't align with who we are as, you know, individuals and trainers and everything through all 200, there definitely will be an episode or two that you're like, hey, that really helps me. Like, I didn't know this about vestibular disease. I have an older dog, you know, learning about that harness helped me. So that was a nice point you brought up. Thanks, Chrissy.
You're welcome. Just saying, check your ego at the door, everybody. Like, nobody has all the answers, and if you think you do, I'm telling you, you don't. Just be willing to, like, just because someone else has a great idea, it doesn't mean you're wrong, and it shouldn't rattle like your fundamentals. It's just like, wow, I never thought of it from that perspective. That can be really helpful. Here's how I could apply it in my life. You don't have to think like, oh, I was wrong and I'm an awful person.
Or you could think, I'm so glad I don't think that way.
Or that. Maybe you hear something and you go, wow, that actually supports why I think this is better for me. But just being open and going, like, there is, in my opinion, in the world, there really, other than really heavy issues, obviously, there's not a whole lot of right or wrong. It's perspective. It's how you see it and how you decide to take it and use it in your life.
Yeah.
And again, for that, there's something here for everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Francis Metcalf said on the podcast. We were interviewing him, and what's your take on this, the balance training and the positive training and the camps fighting? And he said, everybody's a little bit right.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Everybody's got good information. It's just they're getting in their own camp, and they don't want to, what you do is not good, only what I do is good.
Yeah.
But everybody has good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just finding the good stuff, taking the good, discard what you don't like, what doesn't fit with you ethically or however you want, you're not best for your dog.
Yeah.
Use what you need.
Yeah.
And that is one thing about when I first started training. I was always exploring all options.
Yeah, and we
Because-
still are.
Yeah.
We have to. I mean, that's the only way that we're going to be successful and continue to help serving other people. And that's a good point. You know, people talk about triggers, like triggers, something that triggers you from your past, your childhood, and all of these things. Then there's also glimmers, like things that show positivity and show light and everything else. And there's glimmers in a lot of facets of dog training. So pick what you like and pick what you can find and maybe that you can take forward or share with someone else, and leave what you don't. Like, that's all fine and dandy. And we're open to having the hard talks, right? Like, if a behaviorist wants to come on this podcast and discuss with us, like, we are open to talking about pharmaceuticals for an entire episode and, you know, hashing it out. We have an episode suggestion on our website page. I love when people say, hey, I want to come on, maybe you should have this person on. We want to expand. We're not trying to keep this some sort of, you know, closed-minded or special circuit about how we're delivering information. We truly want to give you guys the best information out there that's possible. So please know that we are trying to be as open as possible with maintaining our authenticity.
That sounds like a nugget. So
Glimmer.
We got, no.
Oh, there's a nugget
about
now?
the glimmer is the nugget.
What's the nugget?
Just what you shared with us.
Oh, a nugget from a glimmer?
Be less divisive and more inclusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't be an and person. Be an or person. It's not. Sorry. Don't be an or person. Damn it. I want
doing
this on
so
a
good.
T-shirt. I know. I've been telling everyone I'm going to get on T-shirts. Be an and person, not an or person. It's not me or you.
Yeah.
It's not my way or your way.
It's only the
me
right
and
way.
You. Right. But it's me and you.
Well,
and
that's an interesting perspective because the Oliver Anthony guy that I was telling you about, that his song blew up, he was just on Joe Rogan, and that kind of is like a point. Like, we can't just be looking out for ourselves anymore. Like, it has to be both of us if we want to exist and move forward, you know, cohesively and okay in this world. So that is, yes, it's you and me. It's this and that. I like that.
Yeah, like it's 100%. Like I try and explain it to everyone. I'm just going to take over your podcast.
But it's positive.
So think of it this way, like there's a pie, right? And everyone goes, well, every time I have to slice that and share that with someone else, I get less. No, every time you add someone else into that pie, the pie gets bigger.
Yeah.
Your slice doesn't get smaller because your world is getting bigger. Your connection with people is getting bigger. The pie gets bigger. The slices don't get smaller, people. You
Chrissy,
still get the same slice.
There's only so much pie to go around, okay?
No.
But we are starting to count macros, so maybe we shouldn't have as big a pieces of pie anyway.
It's kale pie. You'll be fine. I don't know.
It's veggie pie. Honey, anything else that we should say here after 200? I mean, it's been a long go. And
Well, I will say this, that you are the driving force behind this podcast.
thank you, sweetie.
Fact.
And I'm just giving credit where credit is due.
Not a shot at him.
Me being out in front of people on a podcast is not my first choice. I've always... Have another drink? I've always preferred to be behind, in the background, under the radar. Everything with my dog training, I kind of took pride in the fact that I was under the radar because I didn't want to catch any heat. I didn't want attention.
You don't like attention in general. It's not even about me.
I just don't like the light being on me. I just want to do my job and make a living and move on with my life. But this has helped me to open up a little bit and be a little more transparent about what I do. And
who you are. I think that we've morphed a little bit as people and we've evolved a lot. And, and thank you for sticking it out. We've had many conversations where Scott's like, I don't know if we should, keep at it. I don't know what we should do. And I think overall it has helped support our in-person business more than we ever knew possible. The people that, just do one class with Scott or do a package with Scott or did a board and train with us, they, are continuously listening. They're continuously supporting us. We've had some of our in-person clients on. We have more scheduled to come on. I think it's been a good cohesive factor there. And it's been good for our marriage. Like Scott and I, we have to have a lot of chats about like, hey, like, where are we going to head with this? What are we going to do with this? And we're
What are you going to wear today?
Today I wear my low-cut college top. So
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I picked
Chrissy,
the shirt today.
I gave Chrissy 4 options for
got a
his
job.
wardrobe today. Yeah. No, but and I do want to bring that point up too, that it is live, and that is not what most podcasts are. And it's not that that's an issue. It makes it more fun in a lot of senses. But we are a married couple, we are a partnership in business, and we are podcasting together live. And that isn't always easy, and it isn't always challenging. But for the most part, we leave here happy, smiling, hand in hand. And
I make many concessions.
Oh, stop it.
You know what's nice about this is that we have so much content now with 200 episodes that when I'm doing an in-person class and they have some problem with, say, potty training or something, I can just send them a link to the podcast episode just on potty training. Like everything I'm telling them, here it is again. Here's an hour, half hour. This on it. You know,
just more brainwashing. Nice. Yeah, and that is a good point. If you guys have been to the quirkydog.com website, there is a search bar, and you can search for like resource guarding, potty training, you know, senior dogs, whatever else. And if we've done a podcast on it, it's just easy to get you right to that episode. But no, overall, I think it's been a smashing hit. Chrissy, any other things to impart? You've been very influential and inspirational.
Thank you. Well, I was about to say the same about you guys, but Scott stole all my thunder. But no, I just thank you guys for being yourselves. Like it's like the connection that we've made since doing this is very genuine and organic to me. Oh God, it's catching.
Do it.
Maybe it's like a stress response being near me.
This is what she does to you.
And Chrissy's around cigars all the time.
Yeah, I've
so
been in a music festival.
It's not the smoke.
It's being on the spectrum.
No.
Yeah, you guys do a line. That's another podcast completely.
I just thank you both for providing this kind of content as well. I think is very important. Again, I think you come at it from a very sincere place. It's not from a judgmental, like, yeah, I'm right, you're wrong. Like, yes, we have strong opinions sometimes. Everybody does. It's how the world works. But yeah, coming at it just from a really honest place, I think is beautiful. It's been very validating for me. Meeting you two has done a lot for me as well on a personal level. Like I said, if you listen to these shows, you're going to get more than just dog stuff out of it. Like you get life things out of it. And I'm not going to go into my whole story. They know it, but they've been very integral in like helping me heal and move forward in my life. So I just thank you both.
And Chrissy knows when we're like, there have been a few episodes I'll give you in the past 200 that the marriage has been a little rocky. Like things have been a little hard. We've had a little bit of stress, and Chrissy senses that when we come on, and she navigates perfectly. And she's like, "All right, you guys good? We okay? Everything good?" Yeah. And it's not podcast related stuff, right?
Which episodes were those?
I think Fix Better and Ongoing was a pretty bad morning, if I remember correctly. If anybody wants to go back, but we're having these moments live, right? Like we're literally working through these things live, and Chrissy's great at reading energy and everything else. And we come to you. We're showing up for you. We're not just like, hey, we're going to call in today. Like things are a little bit rocky. Things are a little bit hard. And it's been a testament to our marriage. I mean, I love Scott more than anything in the world. We are ridiculous and very closely bonded. We literally wake up together. Then we go to the gym together. Then we're maybe doing in-homes together. Then we podcast together. Then, I mean, it's ridiculous.
We do a lot together.
There's a lot of togetherness, literally. But it is shown, it has been another step, having to be here and having to be live and present and everything else for 30 to 45 minutes every week for the past 4 years and work together and be like, hey, I just freaking said that. Like, let's get in the moment and like, let's hear this together and kind of flush things out on air. Very frequently, we have a topic, but it just kind of comes out organically and authentically on air. It's not something that's been previously curated. So, honey, good job to the marriage. Cheers to the cigar. Oh, we got this. Nat, thank you so much. Nat and Pete, this is so sweet of you guys. Chrissy and I, we're going to chill and we'll share it next week. It's really lovely. The glasses are beautiful.
And Nat is expecting.
I know, I said that, so I got a drink in her honor.
She can't be drinking the alcohol.
Yeah, not the whole thing. All right, thank you so much, and thank you for our Emmy too. What were you going to say?
Welcome. I was just going to say, I better go slide off stage, otherwise we're just going to be stuck on the air forever.
We'll never be able to close.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you for coming on, Chrissy. We appreciate it. And again, thank you to Dave. Dave has been just an amazing influence in our life, and we love coming here, and we love coming to the cigar studio and the podcast studio and everything else. All right, careful of the glasses. Here, we could cheers. They're empty. All right, honey. So here's to the next 200.
Well, we're halfway there.
I love you. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for everything you've done, all of your listens, all of your views, all of your reviews. Check out the apparel link. It'll be available all of September. And in the meantime, keep it quirky. Bye, guys.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.